I think, okay, all I see is, for Zoom accounts on mine, and it's.
Councilmember Peter Sagan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you great. Councilmember Tadget?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you.
Speaker.
We'll get started here in just a minute.
Here comes Ryan.
Yeah, right.
There he is.
Jesus. Yep.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Let's get this going. We are gonna kick
1
off
second.
a city council meeting of the Lake Stevens City Council.
Yes, it's tough.
It's November 14th, 2023. It's 6 PM, 1800 for you military people other than me. And we are down at the mill and we are also online. I do love my Navy people. But I am an Army guy. And so let's kick this off with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation.
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'd like to recognize that we have some great Lake Stevens High School Vikings in the crowd, big crowd. Thanks for being here tonight. Must be getting close to end of semester. And we needed to get in some civic government time. So we love having you here. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask them, not during the meeting, but after the meeting. All right, city clerk, Chellen, can you give us a roll call?
I can. Councilmember Daughtry?
Present.
Yes.
Present.
Councilmember Peter Sagan, who's virtual?
Yes, present.
Councilmember Donahue?
Present.
Councilmember Dickinson?
Present.
Councilmember Jorstad?
Here.
Councilmember Ewing, who's absent. Councilmember Tadget, who's virtual.
Present.
Move to excuse Councilman Ewing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, thank you. Hey, before we do an approval of the agenda, I would like to sidetrack us for just a minute and address an unfortunate occurrence that occurred during our October 24th meeting. This occurrence mirrored a series of anti-Semitic incidents in our neighboring city meetings. And I want to acknowledge the shock and subsequent silence that ensued, and the inappropriate behavior was promptly halted upon understanding the message's content. Although we harbored suspicions about the two profiles accessing the meeting, procedural requirements compelled us to admit them for public comment. And I want to applaud the city clerk for effectively silencing the hate speech upon this presentation. For me, this is an incident that underscores a broader concern I have regarding the escalating hatred, not only targeting our Jewish community, but also affecting our larger community. And throughout history, division and alienation have led to perilous consequences, as we all know. Our city's primary purpose is to ensure the safety of all citizens, fostering an environment where they can live, work, and play. And this commitment remains our top priority, and we urge all citizens to embrace the diversity of our great growing city. With that, can we get an approval of the agenda?
Of course. We have our agenda in front of us. There have been no requests for any amendments or changes. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have an agenda.
Great, President, thank you. And I'm not seeing any guest business on the agenda tonight. So we'll go to citizens' comments and we'll first go online. Is there anyone online who'd like to provide citizens' comments tonight?
I do see a few names online. If you do want to speak to the council, if you can raise your digital hand, I can bring you into the meeting. Again, raise your digital hand if you want to speak to council. I'm not seeing it.
Okay, great. And then I don't have any green sheets, but I do want to open it up since I didn't announce at the beginning. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to address the city council for 3 minutes, here's your opportunity to let the council know how you feel. I think they're all high schoolers out in the audience, every single one of them. And if you want to let the council know how you feel about the city, here's your opportunity. Going once, going twice. All right. We must be doing great with high school. Perfect. Let's move forward then to council business, council president.
Great, thank you. I want to use my time tonight first to commend Clerk Chellen and our city staff for their quick and decisive response to the anti-Semitic words that were spoken at our last council meeting on October 24th. I also want to thank Councilman Peter Sagan for swiftly and immediately striking those words from the record. Hate speech is defined as an abusive or threatening speech or writing that expresses prejudice or hatred on the basis of ethnicity, religion, race, sexual identity, skin color, gender identity, disability, or national origin. While it is important that we encourage public input, we must also ensure that hate speech will not be tolerated in this forum. There is no place for hate in the city of Lake Stevens. Thank you. I will go to my right, Councilman Daughtry.
Thank you, Council President. I met with the Youth Advisory Council last week on, I believe it's Thursday night, and Russ and I don't remember her name, dang it. They came and gave the presentation for our comp plan. The Youth Advisory Council solicited some of their comments. There were 4 of the Youth Advisory Council there. I don't know if you've gotten any comments back from her or not, but I think you're going to get some. They called me and asked me a couple more questions, and well, you need to call Russ on those because I'm not understanding that either. So anyway, that's about all I really had.
Great, Councilman Donahue.
Thank you. So I've also reflected on what happened at our last meeting, and while I don't have anything prepared, it occurred to me that anyone who wants to come and avail themselves of this public forum has to do 3 things in this room. They have to give their name, they have to give their address, and they have to stand at that podium and appear on that camera. And so I don't know if this is a possibility. It's something we'd have to confer with council about, but a requirement that anybody who's going to join and participate show themselves on video before being allowed to speak. And to the extent that that's not permissible, I would encourage this council, staff, and again, legal counsel to work together to create a more, I guess, robust process for trying to screen that out. I realize it's difficult and perfection probably isn't possible, but there's probably more we could do. And after what I heard last meeting, I would encourage us to do all that. So that being said, today I participated in the Snohomish County Department of Emergency Management meeting. There is a interlocal agreement draft moving ever closer to completion. It's my understanding they will email that out shortly, and I will be able to pass that on to city staff for legal review and approval. There will also be several opportunities, I'm told, for leadership to participate in training on our role in, how we should respond in the event of an emergency. So as soon as I have that, I will pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Dickinson.
I attended the ARC program at the mill right upstairs, and I was delighted at the progress made in this organization since my days as a young mom with a son with Down syndrome. Councilwoman Liz Vogley and State Representative Carolyn Eslick were there, and it was just a wonderful, cheering, encouraging moment, and it was great to meet those folks. I hope I get to talk to some of them again. I also attended the Senior Center board meeting, and they say their volunteer hours this last month were 413 volunteer hours, and they served 140 meals in the last week. Wow. So thank you for what you've said already tonight, all of you. And I too was shocked at what went on at the meeting on the 24th. So I would like to read our statement, if I may. We are a thriving community that promotes a vibrant economy, preserves natural beauty, and supports an exceptional quality of life for all. And this is what resonates with me, for all. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. We'll go virtually to Councilman Peter Sagan.
Thank you.
I echo all the comments that have been made regarding the October 24th. It's meeting the attention that we need to give to those type of things is I guess alarming, but it's the age that we're living in. So I just hope that we're ever vigilant and condemn those folks that do have that in their hearts, and have a more civil process, I guess, going forward. So couple of things. I just attended sewer district board meeting, last couple of district meetings, the 26th and the 9th, historical society board meeting, the 11th, utility committee on the 1st. And I think we're making some good progress there. Ever hopeful that we're going to get some more substantial action items in place here in the very near future. We are moving forward, and I think staff is doing a good job working with the staff of the sewer district to identify those things and move forward. So I just want to relay there are some positive things taking place. I know that we've all been a little frustrated in the timeline that is taken, but nonetheless, it is moving in a positive direction. So congratulate the staff in that regard. And then also the ribbon cutting at Sunset Beach on the 8th. What a great asset to the city. The city's done a great job, especially staff and the consultants, of turning that rundown, tired park into something that we can all be proud of. It's very nice, and I'm sure it will be enjoyed by a lot of people in the future. Again, we're doing our work as far as the city improving its parks and so forth. So I think, a round of applause for everybody involved. And the other thing I'd like to say is just congratulations to all the candidates, the people who participated in the election process. It takes a lot of gumption to do that, and I applaud those folks, win or lose. And congratulations to the folks that did win their respective seats. So anyway, that's all for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Tagent.
Yes, I just wanted to say congratulations to all the winners of your elections. That is a hard thing to put yourself out there in the public like that. Look forward to working with you guys next couple years. And then as far as the comments, thank you, Mayor Gailey and Council President Angie Jorstad for speaking on our behalf on that. It's a unfortunate situation that happened. So other than that, like Gary said, Sunset Park is really beautiful. It's really neat to see another park open and available to the public that really has transformed itself. So that's it for me tonight.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Council. So a couple things on my list. We had a great executive staff retreat earlier in the month. Real good opportunity for the staff to get together. It's kind of fun. 4 years into being the mayor, the retreats are fun because we are taking on some big issues, but we're also refining some issues. And it's good to see the staff working as a team and coming to solutions. They don't always agree with each other, which is great, but they always come out of the doors as a team and moving forward. And it makes me proud. So with that, I had the really cool opportunity to speak at Glenwood Elementary for Veterans Day. And it's fun to talk to the little kids because they actually listen to you and they pay attention to you. And just had a great opportunity, just great smiling faces, just beaming and full of curiosity. So I would like to express my thank yous to Principal Johnson for the invite to do that. I as well would like to commend all those who are candidates, not only in our races, but across the county. It takes a lot to put yourself out there, and it takes a lot to run and put your ideas out there and cross your fingers and hope that you've made a difference and your community sides with you. So congratulations to everybody who jumped in the races, and congratulations to those who won seats. I as well attended the ribbon cutting for Sunset Beach. what a great little park. I want to commend Eric Mangold, who really, that was his real from start to finish project. He hid the entire time during the ribbon cutting. I finally found him and gave him a mayor's coin, but he did a great job on that park, and want to commend him on that, as well as the rest of the staff. It was a little exclamation point for me on it the next morning as I drove by, and there was a dad unloading two little dudes with fishing poles, and they were going to head down onto that dock and probably not fall through the dock and become fish bait, which is great. And just absolutely why we redid that park. So great little beach. And last thing on my list is as we move forward here into the holidays, I hope that everyone is spending time with their family and their friends and whatever that looks like in their life, and remembering what we're all thankful for and grateful for, especially for the freedoms of our country and the freedoms that we enjoy daily, due to those that are doing great things in our community. So make sure that we take that time and not be so hustle bustle during the holidays. Just enjoy it. So let's move forward and let's get this agenda going. Can I get a nope, back up. Let's go to, it looks like we've got a police department update with Jeff and Julie.
Can everybody hear me okay? I'm way back here in the back, I know. I just wanted to give you some information regarding what's happening behind the scenes. As you know, our police officers are the ones on the front lines, but our record staff is behind the scenes doing tremendous work. Unfortunately, we got notice that one of our records employees will be leaving us in February, sooner than later. And then we also got notice that another one may be leaving us within the next 2 weeks. So the request here now is we put it forward is we're just going to tell you that we gave a conditional offer to a record specialist to replace the vacant position that's coming in early 2024. You can read in the staff report some of the things that are coming up is the body worn cameras. We used to get four requests per month, and then in September it increased to 15 requests. And then in October, 20 requests. We went from 2,160 minutes in August to over 6,110 minutes in October. That equals 2.5 weeks of work for one employee to process those videos. Losing 2 out of the 5 that we have, that includes our manager, our record supervisor, and 4 record specialists. We can't keep up with all that. So we need the skill sets because there's so much that goes into, they're entering data into the database, criminal database. They're doing fingerprints, doing background checks for firearms, and a lot of other transfers and stuff, which is hopefully going to be turned over to the state here soon, but it won't take away all the work. They also put together the case files. So the officers go out, take their initial reports, any statements, any attachments that need to go into the case need to be uploaded into the system. And our record staff does that. They also work as a liaison between the courts and our police department to make sure the cases are processed and ready for the courts on a daily basis. This is just the amount of work that they're putting forward. So we're just looking to say, we're going to hire this record specialist, hopefully get them trained before our experience and knowledge leave out the door.
Excellent. I agree with that. Can I get a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion to pass the consent agenda and a second. And is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Is that an aye that you're with it or against it?
I don't know.
Aye for an I don't know. Okay.
No, I for it.
I for, okay. Unanimous ayes. So let's move forward to a public hearing and it's on the budget. Let's go with Barb.
Thank you, Mayor. Give me 1 minute to put this up. This. Okay, good evening. This is our 2024 budget public hearing number 2. For those of you who have not been through this process before, our budget process starts with priority discussions with the mayor and city council early in June, July. Then we do a creation of a base budget and a 6-year forecast. We project revenues using trends, datas from outside sources, and then we look at expenditures based on our current staffing levels, current levels of service and programs, and then we do some initial cost increases for fuel costs such that then the base budget is sent to department heads with initial instructions for making requests in early August. By late August, all the requests are compiled for presentation to the council or to the mayor and city administrator, and then ready for council budget discussions, which occur throughout September. In September, we actually had 3 budget discussion meetings with city council to review the initial budget and estimated revenues, strategic planning, staffing plan, and preliminary proposed budget. In October, we had 2 additional study sessions with council to finalize the proposed budget. The proposed budget has been made available to the public on our website as well as on ClearGov via a link on our webpage. All of the presentations and all of the documentation that have been provided to council is also on our webpage. We have had 2 public hearings were held on October 24th. That was one to review and approve the property tax levy for 2024, and the other one was the first reading of the 2024 budget and the budget ordinance. This is our second and final public hearing for the 2024 budget, and that's how our timeline looks for the budget. So our 2024 budget priorities, these are continuations from our 2023 budget. The main points are to maintain public health and safety. Some of those things are our American Public Works Association APWA accreditation. That is going very well. Enhancing the transportation program. This is being done through the Transportation Benefit Program, as well as some other CIP work, Comprehensive Improvement Plan and Transportation Plan. We're enhancing the park and recreation program, just as the council members mentioned, Sunset Beach and Dock just opened. So we're continuing to do that and completing a lot of capital projects that have been in process for last year, year before. So continuing to get those done. We're also continuing to streamline citywide processes and increase our levels of service. And then we want to attract and retain highly qualified staff. So this is a look at our 2024 proposed budget by fund. This is how we adopt our budget. So we're looking at our total revenues and total expenditures for citywide. The final row shows our totals. Our estimated resources are $45 million and our estimated expenditures are $55 million. We are spending down some of our reserves, but that is expected as we are doing multi-year projects. Our major funds are the general fund. This is the most robust fund for operating purposes. This includes all of your administration, your police department, planning, park and recreation. You also have your street department, and then your storm and surface water funds. This is a look at the staffing recommendations for 2024. This is what is currently included in the budget. So this is looking at everything included by FTE and by fund allocation. In Q1, we have a part-time IT security analyst. Sorry about that. Part-time security analyst included in the budget. We also have the park ranger. That is also in Q1. And then reclassification of the city clerk to the municipal services manager. This is a reallocation, a creation of a new division that will take over the customer service aspects and communication of the city. Q2, we have a records management specialist, which will be under that municipal services division. We have an administrative assistant going under community development, and half of that will be reimbursed by the permit fund. And then we have a safety and training coordinator as well. Additionally, the 2 street seasonal workers will likely be hired in Q2, but they're not included in that specific quarter when you're looking at the actual charts. Q3, we have a potential promotion opportunities in the community development department for planner and building inspector 2. And then we also have some placeholders for vacation cash out and HRA VBOOK contribution programs that we're still looking at the policies on those. This is a look at our organizational chart, and it is color coded by timing. So it's color coded by which quarter the hiring will be done, and it also shows some temporary positions as well.
Excuse me, Barb.
Yeah.
In light, Mr. Mayor, in light of what Jeffrey Bezos said, are we looking at maybe needing to add to that cadre of record specialists for him?
It was part of his request. But we did not add for this year.
Can I speak on, the chief had actually, what they had done is they wanted to come forward and have the position filled prior to the position being vacated. That's normally how the process goes. This is actually allowing him to double up that position until the one vacates in order to do training and get them sort of up, keep them in line with what they are right now. I do believe that was a request last year as well for the
You're
record.
asking about adding a new FTE.
Yeah, I was kind of, well, I'm worried about the rise in the requests and things like that. And they've got a team that's doing an excellent job right now. They're losing one.
Yeah.
Well, two, but I understand that trying to fill it quicker so that they can double up for a little while and get the training done. I understand that, but they're still gonna be down one.
Yeah.
So do we in our budget allow that one to be refilled?
So the one will be refilled. But that's pushed out till February, right, Jeff? That won't be till February.
He unplugged me.
Okay.
Both will be refilled.
Yeah.
Right, both of them will be refilled. But it is more staff this time that's coming on board that, you know, the estimate of this body worn camera, we couldn't tell you until we started getting hard numbers. And these are the hard numbers that are coming in. So in the future, we'll have to request additional body just to be able to handle that 2.5 weeks worth of work.
But
I
you're
see
saying
where you're
that's
going.
But you're saying that's gonna be in the future that you're gonna,
Yeah, we'll have to.
we don't need to talk about that at this budget.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, let's take an assessment after we get these two new folks on and maybe take a mid-year assessment, see where we're at.
That's fine.
Good question. I was wondering if there were still questions after his presentation on that. Okay, so this is looking at our proposed budget summary for items. Some items are not yet fulfilled from the 2023 budget, and those will roll forward into 2024 via budget amendment early in the year. Should not affect the ending balances in 2024 as we show them as fully spent in 2023. So we'll just roll that forward. As you can see from the chart or from the graph, the largest portion is in public works. This is there's a couple of large things in here, including CCTV, stormwater, looking through the pipes with the cameras, getting started with that program, the alum treatment, some of the lake treatments. And then after that, we also have quite a bit going into IT. So after we had the server issue this year, we're doing a lot more infrastructure and security in the IT realm. This is a look at our 2024 capital project budget summary. These are the projects that are going on in 2024. It does include all the yeses and the maybes for streets and parks that have allocated funding. The yellow ones are the ones that are estimated to utilize some of the TBD or Transportation Benefit Program funding. And then the blue again indicates grants. For the transportation benefit, we don't have all of that budgeted in as we're looking at getting the program lined out by the engineering staff and then looking at a tax exempt drawdown bond anticipation note in order to stagger our project draws. This is looking at the additional capital projects for facility, utilities, and storm. None of this information has changed since previously brought forward to council. We do have the city hall purchase in here. Again, the entire thing is not budgeted. That will be budgeted once we bring back the ordinance for the bond, and we will add the actual bond fund and the budget for that. did want to leave in the transportation benefit program, what projects were initially approved in that resolution and which ones are actually looking like they're going forward in 2024. As I mentioned, Public Works will be bringing forward that transportation benefit plan. They were doing some additional work on it this week, hence why it did not come back to council today. These are the roadway projects. And this is our finalization of the budget. So we will leave it open for questions, take public comment, and then look to approve the second and final reading of the ordinance and adopt the ordinance for the 2024 budget.
All right, do we have any questions for Barb? I'm hearing crickets, so let's go with opening the floor for public comments from the audience. We have, these comments are just for this topic only, budget topic only. So let's go online first. Is there anybody on digital land who would like to provide comments at this time?
As the mayor just stated, if anybody's online and would like to comment on the public hearing tonight for the 2024 budget ordinance, please raise your digital hand. Not seeing any hands.
Hearing none?
None.
Okay. And how about in the audience? Any high school accounting suggestions here, debits versus credits? This stuff, no? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and close public comments at this point. And Barb, do you have any further comments? Okay, so I would look to the council this time for actions on the budget.
I would move that we adopt ordinance number 1173, adopting the 2024 budget.
Second.
Second.
Motion to adopt the budget and a second. Discussion on the budget. And hearing no discussion, okay, online?
Councilmember Peter Shagan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate the mayor on putting together a very calm budget process, I guess. This is a pretty aggressive budget, and I think it's been well thought out. Once again, we are pushing the limits, so to speak, in the sense of staff's capability of getting a lot of things done. But again, as they've demonstrated in the past, they seem to be up to the task. So hats off to them. I would hope that this year is kind of a year maybe of stabilization, in the sense that we can kind of maybe not be so aggressive in our budgeting next year, and hope that we've got so many new employees, people that are filling positions that are obviously investments for a growing city, but at the same time, getting those folks in place and getting the performance and so forth of comfortable performance, so that we can move forward in a very pragmatic fashion. So again, I congratulate the mayor for putting this together. And I do support the budget adoption.
Great. Any other comments?
I just want to follow that by also thanking Director Stevens. As usual, you provide information in a very digestible manner, making our work a little bit easier. It's super helpful to be able to have the information in front of us that we need to be able to make some of these decisions in a way that makes sense. So we appreciate you. Thanks.
Any other comments? Well, I will say, Councilmember Peter Shagan, that at the staff retreat, they did make me pinky swear. No new good ideas for the year.
No conferences.
So.
Do we have a picture of that? Pinky swearing? That documented.
All right, perfect. Then I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the budget?
Aye.
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 And any opposed? All right. Thank you very much, council. You know, it's for those in the audience, the process is I present a budget, and then the council kind of mulls it over and makes suggestions and then ultimately approves the budget. And then my office turns around and executes the budget. So it's something we do at the end of the year. It's an opportunity for everybody, not only in my staff or in on the council, but for the public to weigh in and see where they want to spend money or not spend money. And it's a process, and it's been working pretty smoothly. And I think it's a testament not only to the council, but to staff in doing great work. And I appreciate everyone and their contributions. All right, so the reason why we are all here tonight is the next item, and that's to listen to the great Melissa Place talk about process code. So Melissa, you have the floor.
I am. Thank you. Good evening. For your consideration this evening is the introduction to the city's process code. So I'll give you a brief summary. I've just got a few slides prepared to go over what's in the staff report. This is essentially a code amendment to the city's review process code. So this is part of our 2023 long range work program that came to you in January as a joint meeting with the Planning Commission. The city had identified some needed changes in our process code, and then the state legislature made changes in April of 2023. So the staff report encapsulates both of those parts, and the goal ultimately from both the state and the city is to review and improve and streamline our permit review. So there's really two parts to this amendment. One is the staff identified changes, and two is the state law changes. And so I'll go over each of those in a nutshell. Essentially, some of the detail is in the staff report as well as the attachments to the staff report. So the staff identified changes that were part of the original long range work program were really to our municipal code in sections 1416A and 1416B. 1416A is our administrative procedures, and then 1416B is our types of land use review. So the changes that we had proposed to 1416A really are, and then I've got several bullet points here. You can see some are in black font and some are in blue. And the black font are really those that we identified as low-hanging fruit, can be sort of easily implemented fairly quickly. And the blue are sort of those that we think would be best encapsulated in the longer state changes that would come later in 2024. So the first bullet point to 1416A is revising our permit expiration and extension policies. We've got some language in there that we just want to refine and finesse. We've had some questions over that over the last few years as permits had needed to be extended due to COVID and the recession in 2008. So we've identified that those are changes that we would like to make. The second bullet point is determining our appeal path for associated land use determinations. Those are really like EDS deviations. We've got, sorry, it's the other kind. Design review, thank you. Construction plan review, yes, those are the other associated land use determinations that doesn't have a set appeal path in our code. And then the third bullet point is updating our security mechanisms. Those are like bonds that we receive on projects in accordance with what we currently accept. So our code says we accept cash deposit. We just currently do not accept cash deposit. We accept bonds and assignment of funds. So we need to update our code to reflect that. And then, as I said, the last two bullet points are in blue because we see revising the consolidated permit process as a larger item that could be consolidated with the state changes, and then reviewing 1416A for consistency with state law, including the timelines that would be updated through the state. In 1416B are removing redundancies between the two chapters, which we would also compare against 1416A, and then reviewing for consistency with state law, including the timelines. So what happened and changed for 2023 under the state law in April? Well, there were really two major changes to the Project Review Act. One is design review, and the second is project permits. And they also revised the Growth Management Act. So House Bill 1293 revises some of the design review requirements, and House Bill 5290 addresses project permits, including timelines. So with 1293, just breaking it into two parts, what it really did was part one was provide a clear and objective standards for design review. That's effective June of 2025. So 6 months past when we do our comp plan update. So that's kind of the longest timeline we have here. And the second part was expedited review for affordable housing for low and moderate incomes. House Bill 5290 was considerably larger, and I broke this into 6 parts for considerations. There are other subsections in that bill, but those are not necessarily ones that we need to implement. They're either for Department of Commerce to implement. So the first part would be excluding permits for interior alterations from site plan review. That's effective now. We actually don't require interior alterations go through site plan review right now, so I don't see that changing much. For bullet point 2, Commerce is to provide grants to cities that commit to reduced residential building permit timelines. That's effective now as well. Right now, our timelines are fairly aggressive with the building permits for residences. And in fact, I was talking to our building official today. I don't think that we would have a hard time meeting those. They're essentially requiring building permit reviews to be in 45 business days or 90 calendar days. We effectively meet that right now. So we would probably want to take advantage of these grants because we're already doing that. So for number 3, Commerce would provide grants to cities for updating software for online permitting. If the city allows for 2 units per lot, that's also effective now. We already have online permitting for both building permits and land use permits. So we're already taking advantage of that, and we could look at potential grants if the city desired to allow 2 lots per unit. And which I already do. Thank you. Okay, and item 4, so just moving on to the other parts of House Bill 5290. There are clarifications to the determination of completeness process. That's effective now. We just need to make a few tweaks on our incompleteness letter to meet that provision. So that's pretty low hanging fruit. Item 5, consideration of additional provisions to expedite permit processing. That's also effective now. There are 10 different items you can add to consider how to expedite the permit process. And I really think that those items are part of the larger discussion in updating the permit review timelines, which is number 6 below. So this is number 6 is really section 7 of House Bill 5290. And that included a bulk of changes, including updating the review timelines to be shorter and quicker, a partial refund of fees if the jurisdiction doesn't meet those timelines. We have to annually report the timelines and the average and our maximum to the state, effective in March of 2025. So all of that subsection 7 is effective January 1 of 2025. So this is just a reiteration of the chart that's in the staff report, but it essentially shows our existing versus our updated land use permit review timelines. So it didn't change for completeness review or the comment period or final plat, but what we always have had is 120 days for land use applications. The new timelines are if the application's complete and it doesn't require public noticing, it's now down to 65 days as what we're required to issue our decision. For ones that require public noticing, that would essentially be type 2. That would be 100 days. We've gone from 120 to 100 days. So we've shaved off 20 days. And then for ones that require public notice and public hearing, usually those are subdivisions, type 3 and 4. We've gone up to 170 days in recognition that those take a little bit longer to process. So we took this to Planning Commission in October of this year, and just to receive their input, take their temperature, same we're doing with council tonight. And we heard from the Planning Commission that they generally support staff's identified changes. We had one commissioner state a preference for separating the projects and moving forward with the smaller changes ahead of the state changes. And then ultimately the majority of the commission desired to wait on the state mandated amendments and take a systematic approach to see what rolls out as part of the next legislative session. So tonight, I think we're looking for council's input on the timing of implementation of these proposed changes and whether you think we should amend the staff identified changes now. Early 2024, we could process those black font bullet points that were in my earlier slide in probably January and February, or do we tackle it all at once? It would have to come later in 2024, probably mid-year, in order to be effective by the end of December for it to meet that January 1, 2025 deadline. So just wanted to have some discussion and your thoughts on that, and would love to answer any questions you have at this time.
And before you respond to Melissa, there will also be a suite of other amendments that the council will have in front of you next year. So there were a lot of legislative changes that affect all cities through changes to the Growth Management Act. So this is one of several code amendments with pretty large changes to the way we do business coming forward. So just keep that in mind, that it won't be just this one larger topic revisiting how we do our business. But there will be others that have more substantial regulation changes as how we do infill development, supportive housing, housing in general. So you will see the second half of 2024 will be very busy for the Planning Commission and City Council with a variety of land use issues.
All right, got any questions from Melissa?
Is it a significant amount of work that identifying the changes that you've identified you could do now is going to affect that work? And would it be better to do it now instead of waiting?
I think that the changes that were the bullet points in terms of permit expiration and extensions, the funding mechanisms, the security mechanisms are very quick red line changes to the code, and that could be done fairly quickly. But the permitting timelines are a larger chunk of work. We have to figure out our permitting software. How are we reporting these annually? What staffing is doing that? Do we have enough staffing to do that? So there's a lot of consideration for those larger state changes that we have to take into effect. Did that help answer your question? Okay.
I guess what I'm really asking is, what is staff's recommendation on the black noted parts?
That's a great question. So I think we could move forward with those quickly. And I think what it would help do, the pro is that it would help resolve those concerns from a developer standpoint and from staffing standpoint, and we could just process it. But if we're going to come back and do all these in June anyway, we could just lump it all together. So I don't know that I have a strong desire either way, or that we have a strong desire either way. We could do either or. It's just a matter of, what's the pros and the cons of each in my mind.
Does it alleviate some hassles for the developers if we do it right away?
Let me answer. I wouldn't say it alleviates hassles. What the new state legislation has done is it's shortened all of the effective timelines for the cities that have been in place for 25 years. So we're doing the same amount of work in a shorter time frame with the same resources. So to the development community, I'm sure that they think that that is definitely a positive. A lot of the small housekeeping items that Melissa described as early actions, those really don't have an effect one way or another on the development community. It just provides more certainty and clarity in our code as we try to answer questions. But
Councilmember Peter Shagan has his hand up too, Mayor.
Sure. Go ahead, Gary.
Yes, Melissa, can you go back to the timeframes, that little matrix you had there? And I'm just particularly interested in the final plat, the 90 days, the existing down there. There's no change for that. But when you say final plat 90 days, is that from the date of final completion or the receipt of a proposed final plat documentation from a developer?
That right there is the requirement for once we receive an application for final plat. So we have 90 days under state law to process that and make a final decision on that.
Subject to the infrastructure being completed.
Correct. Yes. Before we
Preliminary plat. 90 days to preliminary plat, not to final plat or infrastructure.
Correct. That's correct. Did you hear that?
The final plat documentation. Right.
Let me rephrase. So there's 90 days from completeness to get to a preliminary decision. Final plats have their own timeline, which is 30 days after being deemed complete. So this is just for preliminary approval.
So I'm confused. Why does it say final plat 90 days then?
I think that's probably an error. It should have been 30 days. Yeah. Good call. Good question. We'll change
All right, great. That makes me feel better. The only other comment I would make, I don't know whether I appreciate the state doing this or not, because as Director Wright indicated, we've had existing days, timeframes in place for these things for a number of years. There's a number of jurisdictions that don't really pay any attention to these things. And I would say Lake Stevens is probably the a rare jurisdiction that actually exceeds or fulfills these obligations. So I guess I'm on the side of staff saying, kind of what's the big deal here? Unfortunately, this really hammers the jurisdictions that aren't complying with these things. So I guess I would applaud the state legislature in regards to that, because the biggest impediment to getting things done in a timely manner is the processing and gosh sakes carrying costs and everything that's with that. So having said that, since the city is already, I guess complying with these things anyway, I guess I would say, let's just kind of do it all at once and not do a piecemeal approach, and take care of it in a nice big package. So that's what I would support.
Councilmember Tagent has his hand up. Okay. Councilmember Tagent.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what Gary says. My biggest thought is if there's low hanging fruit stuff that we can get off our plate now instead of unveiling a big package with a bunch of items, if we're complying and doing stuff now and we can get rid of some of this stuff and show the builders like, hey, we're trying to be progressive, we're meeting our requirements, and there's some stuff we can do now. I would say instead of waiting all the way till June, I'd say let's get it off our plate now. And so that way we're not unveiling a bigger package later and a lot of questions. Say, hey, here's the stuff we're working on. Here's what we've got now. And if I'm assuming just by the words that I've heard is that you're like, hey, it doesn't really matter if we do some of it now or some of it later. If it's really not that big of a deal, let's unveil some of it and say, hey, we're meeting these requirements already. We're in compliance. Let's get rid of the low hanging fruit and say we're already meeting this. I think it's better for the public to see that we are meeting these and get this stuff off our plate, and then we're not unveiling a ton of changes all at one time. So that would be my thought.
I have a little bit of a different perspective, but also want to support moving forward all at once. I think that looking at housing solutions and low-income housing solutions statewide continues to be a pretty dynamic issue. And I think that this isn't the end of seeing changes throughout our state to bring about more affordable housing opportunities. I worry that if we wait until 2025, even though it's a short session, that we're only going to see more changes come about here in the next couple of months. And so then we're kind of stacking changes on top of changes. I also think the sooner that we can move to look at our affordable housing opportunities here and hopefully increase those for our residents, the better. So I would like to see us move sooner rather than later on the changes that are being proposed.
Any other comments? Staff?
No, it sounds good. Thank you for the feedback.
Great.
So I do have a question. Yeah, you get the feedback. What are you gonna do?
Well, okay, so we will reconvene and talk about if we want to move a couple of these small changes, we've considered rolling it into the code cleanup. Because if there's just a couple more, we can put it in that process, or we may separate it and then go back to Planning Commission on those particular changes, come back to council on those, and then we would be introducing these larger state changes sometime in 2024 to you. That's the thought moving forward.
All right, great. Appreciate your report, Melissa. And the comments from the council. Gene, you want to lead the next subject?
Yeah, during the agenda setting meeting this week, we looked at next week's agenda and we really don't have anything for it. So we're going to ask council if you consider canceling that meeting, or if there's something that has in nature, we could Also hold it if you had something you wanted to address.
It seems like my wife's not watching online. I guess I can say, I'll have to find something else to do.
I think I just want to put out there for consideration, assuming we do cancel next week's meeting, we would then have 3 more meetings before the holiday break. So December 12th right now is scheduled to be our last meeting before the end of the year.
Council President Dressed, hot off the press, we may need a December 19th special meeting
Good to know.
for a closed record hearing, but
Okay.
I will inform you guys right away.
Okay.
Just throwing that out. 'cause I
Thanks
told
for
you
making me
before.
lie up here
I
on the diet.
it's hot off the press moments ago.
I guess so.
So
So potentially December 19th might be our last meeting. And at our retreat, I know that we had talked about wanting to bring forth an ordinance around fireworks in the city of Lake Stevens. There was a sort of an energy at that retreat to want to do that before the end of the year. If we only have these 3 meetings left, that makes that pretty compact timeline to bring that forth to invite public hearing. And so I think our options are, we can cancel next week, be done at the end of the year and try to squeeze that in. We can wait until after the first of the year and give that topic extra time so that we can do our due diligence and be thorough, or we can make the 19th and a regular meeting and have 4 meetings left to discuss that. So I want to throw that out there and just kind of find out where folks are at.
And since that will be my last meeting that I will be here, I would love to have a resolution regarding fireworks before I leave town, leave this place.
Thanks.
I just feel that that is an issue that is just burning.
Mhm.
And I just feel really strong.
No pun intended. Yes.
No pun intended, but it's
Councilmember
just
Dickinson,
something I
your
really
last
care a lot
meeting
about.
is December 12th. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
What's that?
Is December 12th your last meeting?
No, the 19th would be.
Oh, the
my last-
19th. Okay.
I think, unless you're gonna throw me out, that's okay.
No.
Okay, all right, good. That's just, I just would like to see that, the solution to that.
Thank you.
or
Other,
Some kind of discussion.
yeah.
Yeah,
Marcus.
Councilmember Tajen.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I know that's a burning topic, but I think that's a topic that I think we need to get input from the community from. And I mean, the community already voted once to keep it. The majority wanted to keep fireworks in place. If we're gonna just all of a sudden come in and ban it without very little input, very little time, I think that's just would be disappointing to the process. And when we talk about open and transparent dealings in the city, this would be one that I don't think is open and transparent. And I don't think we need to go rush that. I think we can tackle that at any point in the first quarter, second quarter of next year. I mean, so I don't see the need to go rush this and try to get it done before, 1 month's time. So that would be my opinion. And, I just would like to make sure the public gets the input, and because I think there's a lot of people who I've gotten phone calls from that are asking and are hearing thoughts about it. So for me, I just don't know why this is something that needs to be rushed this year, why it's such a rush.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, my personal preference at the retreat, I'd asked for kind of a data update, what's changed since the vote occurred. I don't know where we're at in the process of collecting that information. If it's already done, great, but if not, I would like to take the time to gather that data and see it and analyze it.
Any other input, thoughts?
Well, likewise, I don't think that we need to rush on this. It's going to be a really contentious, as it always has been. Back in 2012, it was really contentious. So I don't see a reason to rush it.
Councilmember Peter Shagan has his hand up. Councilmember Peter Shagan, go ahead.
Yes, I was just going to say I'm having a little trouble hearing the conversation, but at the same time, I'm assuming if it were obviously discussed, we're going to have a public hearing on this. That is the intent of this. Is that correct from everyone's perspective?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so were you anticipating a public hearing on the, or floating the idea of a public hearing on the 19th of December?
I think we're just trying to figure out if we only have 3 meetings left. Is that enough time to present an ordinance, to have a public hearing, to gather the information needed to make the decision?
Okay. This is obviously this is a very controversial issue, and I think to fully vet this probably right before the holidays is probably not the appropriate time to do this. So I would support sometime in January, February.
If I may, sounds like we want to have a good look at it. I would also suggest that we kick off the data look and the discussion after we see a new council member also, so that we're not catching someone up. So I would suggest we table it until after the first of the year.
I'm fine with that, just so y'all know.
And if you want to come in, Mary, and give
Get up there.
a citizens vote,
Say
we'll take that vote.
3 minutes.
I have to agree. I think, the retreat was a couple months ago, and at that point, I think it seemed doable to bring this forward before the end of the year. But at this point, I do want to make sure that we have ample time for the public to weigh in, that we have all of the data and the information that we need and the feedback. And I want to do our due diligence, and I agree. Okay. So then I think that what that means is that canceling next week sounds good. And then we'll wait and see about the 19th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there any other information that you need,
I am
Clerk Chillen?
Just for swearing in purposes, what day were we looking at were we looking at the 2nd of January for swearing in purposes?
Yes.
Is that correct? Just
Right.
for family and.
Councilmember Donahue is going to have to be sworn in twice.
Is that,
I
wait,
did-
is that official?
Yes, I did
Oh.
get confirmation from the county today. I will need to swear you in on November 20, or not me or anybody you choose, swear you in on the 28th of November through the remainder of the year, and then you'll take the oath again in 2024.
Okay.
So the election's going to be certified at 1 o'clock on the 28th. So as long as we're past that date, which we are that time frame, we will.
I should probably explain my groan there. I thought I'd found a loophole in the wording that would allow me to only swear in once, but apparently not.
The election specialist, and she said,
Yeah, it said may, not shall, so I was.
I'd be with you all day. There we go.
but yes, and then the swearing in for everybody else, right now would be set for January 2nd. That would be our very first meeting of the year. So that's our plan.
Okay, great. So think about that for family pictures or whatever you want to do.
Get our sequence out,
Get our little,
fancy
whatever
garb.
we're doing.
All right.
All right, great. Any alibis? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hey, have a great night. Enjoy things.